There's been a huge reaction to the story. We haven't even done it yet, and this is about politicians telling you to switch off your Christmas tree lights because it's harming the environment. So they've taken away basically everything else, all the other pleasures in our life, flying, driving, etc., because it harms the environment. Therefore, now the next logical step is obviously Christmas tree lights. Jean has texted me to say, rich politicians just took away 60,000 people's income, so stopping Christmas, child's play for them. Sad country on a day we celebrate Remembrance Day. Why didn't they empower us instead of making everyone frightened? Good point, Jean. Let's talk to Lettuce Bromovsky, the political commentator with Young Voices UK, about this story. Lettuce, you're very welcome to Talk Radio this morning. How are you?
Hi, Peter. Thanks so much for having me on.
No problem. This is MPs tell homeowners to switch off Christmas lights to save the planet. The Dark Skies All-Party Parliamentary Group said some displays were so bright, if they had been in Bethlehem, the three wise men would never have found baby Jesus. So,
I mean, it's this whole story, I think, is completely ridiculous and very tone deaf from these MPs. I mean, where are we finding these MPs who think they have the right to start telling people to turn off their Christmas lights? These houses will have, bought these lights themselves. They'll be paying for them through their energy bills themselves. They'll go through the whole arduous process, I'm sure, of putting them up and taking them down. This is a personal decision kind of thing. And I think that MPs have really overstepped the mark and they've completely missed this. This is not going to go down well.
Well, it's also the people. First of all, I agree with absolutely everything you said, Lettuce. There's an example here as well of Helen and John Attesley. Their Christmas decorations, their home at Soham in Cambridgeshire, had thousands of eco-friendly LED lights for charity. Last year, it raised £25,000 for charity, including Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital. I don't know about you, but I've been to a few of these kind of charity things where you have sort of an absurd level of Christmas decorations and inflatable Santas with kind of lights and reindeer and all the rest of it, and they're just lovely. They're just a lovely thing. They're kind of a bit absurd, bit tacky, but of course a lot of Christmas decorations are, and there's something that it's just a bit of fun. Why do we have to think about the environment every single time? I mean, every single thing we do is we seem to be told to stop doing it.
No, exactly. So many of these big displays are for charity and they're fundraising for, better causes. And if they're so concerned about this climate impact, like you said, they're using LED lights on many of these big displays now, which only use 10% of the power of your normal incandescent Christmas lights. But also, globally, lighting contributes about 5% to our CO2 emissions. That's globally. So for UK, for Christmas lights, which will go up once a year, for the UK, that 0.000% contribution that would be, why have they got to sort of nitpick at every little thing?
Well, I was astonished yesterday, Lettuce, in this programme. We spoke to someone from the fashion industry who said that fashion, not just the manufacture of clothes, but also the transportation, apparently contributes more to the carbon emissions than flying and driving, which I find pretty astonishing. I, for one, refuse to stop wearing clothes.
Yes, I think I definitely have to agree with you there, particularly as we're going into winter. It might get a bit cold.
Yes, might get a bit cold. But no, I mean, I love Christmas. I love everything about Christmas. I love Christmas trees. I love Christmas carols. I love crackers. I love Christmas food. And I mean, the thought of a Christmas tree without Christmas lights is just horrendous. I'm getting a real Christmas tree this year for the first time in my own place, and I'm really excited about it. And putting the lights on it is, it's a sort of annual tradition. It's going to be lovely.
I completely agree. And we can't forget too quickly that last Christmas was entirely smothered and essentially cancelled because of all these draconian measures that were put in around COVID. Like this is a new Christmas going into the new year, where I hope we'll never see these sort of imposed measures ever put on us again. So yeah, I think this is completely ridiculous, and I hope no one listens to them. Actually, I saw just before I came on the Talk Radio Twitter, you put a poll out, and I was looking through some of those comments, and so many people were saying how they would be definitely buying Christmas lights and putting more Christmas lights up because of how the government thinks they can impose on their lives like this.
Well, there's something called Earth Hour, which is everyone's is supposed for an hour to put off all the lights in their house. And my colleague Julia Hartley-Brewer puts all the lights on in her house during Earth Hour. We have one texter here who says, "Hi Peter, let's just put up more Christmas lights. Perhaps the people thinking this should sit in a dark house and put Scrooge in the front door." I mean, that's a very good point. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
No, and another thing of this, which I think is important to say, it seems very sort of virtue signaling to be saying that these houses are all the ones that are doing wrong. I live here in London, and when I walk back from work each evening, you see offices everywhere which have their lights on, and this is throughout the entire year. I mean, even the Houses of Parliament are lit up every evening all year round. These are Christmas lights for one part of the year.
It's interesting actually, just looking at some of the output around this. A 100 count string of incandescent mini lights runs at 40 watts, so that's quite a lot. A 70 count of 5mm wide angle LEDs is approximately 4.8 watts total, and I don't think 4.8 watts running for a couple of hours before you put them off, before you go to bed, which you should absolutely do because it's dangerous to keep them on overnight, is going to make a huge difference. And of course, London is looking as if it might be awarded a second Formula One Grand Prix. That's a sport that does nothing but pollute, but we're of course meant to be supporting that. And listen, if people want to drive around in fast cars for money, good on them. I think that's probably fair enough. But I just feel the joy is being taken out of our lives to some degree. Let us.
No, definitely. And one other thing on top of that is Philip Dunn, who was one of the MPs who's spoken out and said people should, be more cautious when they're putting their lights up, think about the community, is actually a director on a board of a jet engine manufacturer.
Brilliant. Love it.
Manufacturing company. So, how dare you think you can come out and try and say this against people when I'm sure those jet engines are doing a lot worse for the environment?
Yes, let's not kill Christmas. Let's keep it alive. Let us, Abramowski, a political commentator with Young Voices UK. Thank you so much for joining us on Talk Radio. Really appreciate that.